And if you look at the title again, no surprise here, it's about public service announcements, and you see that question mark, so perhaps that's the question mark in your heads. And what we'll try and do today in the next hour is to turn that question mark into an exclamation mark. I know what to do, I know what it is, and I know how to go about it. Do you know that if you see like 3, 4, 5 words in a row, that the best way to read it is backwards? Do you know that little trick? So let's do this. It's an announcement. It's going to be pretty much like an advertisement or a poster. Then it's service. It's an announcement in the service of the general public. We can always learn a lot from good examples. So we try to create awareness for people who may be unaware or ignorant. If you look at the one with all the tombstones, it's sort of striking the fear into our hearts. And actually, this is a very, very powerful way of appealing to people. How can I get people's attention? If you look at this triangle, you see that there are different ways of reaching out and connecting or closing the gap with the audience. Emotions is one of them, and a story is actually a way of packaging emotions. So that's a very strong strategy in trying to communicate a particular message. We can call it the heart, if you like. And then there is the head, which is more of the logical way, the reasoning, the argumentation. Let's say recycle more or do something about awareness around human trafficking, so I can use facts and figures. Facts and figures are also important in establishing credibility. Who are you talking to me? I would like to know who you are. And that kind of authority comes from certain moral standards, from a certain expertise, which takes you to the top, right? Are you a trustworthy source? So as you will be working on designing your PSA, you're probably going to come up with either a strong dominant appeal, which could be the emotional one, or maybe the logical one, but you can also blend in elements to do with credibility. Let's have a few examples now.
Remember these 3 words, pathos, ethos, logos. We don't have to get into the technicalities of each and every one of these. But what we're trying to do here now is just to illustrate that when you create your PSAs, it would be beneficial to have an appeal attached to this work of yours. With the first one here, you have a king. And the king is a person of authority. Now, when you want to establish credibility, now you need a person of authority to probably say something. Now, the next one here, pathos, speaks about, it's all about the heart, emotions. You want to evoke some emotions. It can be through your illustrations. It can be through the text that you write on your PSAs. And the next one here is logos, or rather the last one, which is all about logic. So we have already established that fact. If you are going to employ the ethos appeal, have probably a celebrity, a man in uniform, and moving on with pathos, it's always nice to have something that get people to feel. And how do you do that again? As we mentioned, through these images that you are going to be using, incorporating into your PSAs. And with logos, it's all about logic, it's all about reasoning. Now, we're going to test you. Please get your clickers ready. What exactly do you see there? These are pieces of a ais kacang cendol machine. Now, these are bits and pieces everywhere. And what does it say at the bottom? It says, they only work together. Ethos, pathos, logos. Key in your responses now. Okay, we have 45. Let's look at the response. Is the answer logos? With the next ad here, you recognize some of these personalities. And we don't need to elaborate further. Key in your response. Now with this PSA, 43 groups have selected ethos as the answer. You are right. We go on to the last one. Dawn breaks to the echoes of its rhythm, and then it goes on. There's something that's going on when you read the body copy. And let's see. If you have selected pathos, that is the correct answer. Very good.
We always go in our creative design, in our thinking, also in our writing, from many, many, many things, many choices to only a few. At the end of the day, you can only have one headline. At the end of the day, you can only choose one picture, so it better be the best one you have. So all the clutter, everything else has been removed. It's the rule of space. Make sure that you have a message that stands out like this one. Let's look at the next one. That's the first of these principles, understanding the theme. Character building message. What does it mean to be united as a nation? What does that mean? And I would like to give you a few minutes in your teams to write down as much as you can associate with the meaning of this, to be united as a nation.
We are going to dedicate all our energy and effort towards, that's where you fill in the blanks. So to inspire you this morning, we want you to think out of the box.
And you see, if you look at the picture again, you see a certain hesitancy there. I'm not saying reluctance, but it's good to know, and that's what you see when you look at the cube here, the dice, that we often have an audience that may not be fully aware, a little hostile towards the problem, and you need to educate them. Try to visualize, and you write that down, because at all times, as you are crafting your message and making all those difficult choices, who is your target reader and your target viewer? To harness something means to use it, to utilize it. So what we need to do is to utilize the strengths. These are the well-known roles: somebody who will plan things, follow through, organize, motivate you. Then you may have people on the execution side, the writers and the illustrators. And then there is also somebody who links this one to the previous rule, which is doing a lot of research. On the team, at least one person or perhaps two who are really going to Google things, look at encyclopedias, the library, ask questions as well. Try to find out what resonates perhaps with your target audience. What we do not want you to do is this. I just go to Google Images, I key in a word like unity, and this is what I'm going to get. I challenge you, and this is what I did. You can scroll through thousands of these pictures. They are always going to be pretty much the same. Creativity is about being original. It's about being different. So I'd like to challenge every single team in this hall to do something which is fresh, new, not seen before, but which captures your message beautifully. Put your mind into a different gear by, for example, when you analyze the theme, looking at a simple dictionary or thesaurus and look for synonyms. And if you see the synonyms for unity, you can see things like symphony and symmetry and some other words. And this may sort of spark off new ideas. And if you go back to Google Images and you key in those, you will be getting a slightly different range of visualizations.
And this is where we are going to look at creating a very, very strong message. Your audience would probably only have 5, 10, 15 seconds at most. You want to make sure that your message is so strong that it is capable of changing mindsets. You're changing attitudes. That's what the objective of a PSA is all about. Gives us a little bit like an anatomy of a PSA. So here we have the headline. Now, the headline has to be an attention-grabbing headline, and more often than not, a headline would be a little bit bigger in size as opposed to the other text in your PSA. And then followed by your body copy, which is the story that you are getting across. You may want to include a tagline. A tagline is almost like a slogan, if you like, but there's a small catch here. And the catch goes like this: maximum 100 words. Step 5 tells us all about visuals. If you look at the illustration on the left-hand side, you've got a representation of 3 races there, all coming together. There's so much that we can learn from our children. There's a proton emblem on that little car, a toy car. Ideas that you can just, it's all available at your backyard, if I may.
If I have a bent picture, quote unquote, then make a straight headline. If your headline is a little bit creative, if you wish, then make sure you have a visual that makes it easy and the viewer or the reader can actually work out the meaning. Don't confuse the reader too much by excess creativity. That's one comment. Second comment, how many people in the picture over here? 3. Odd numbers give drama, they give dynamic. The number of people in the other picture is over here. How many? 8. Even number. An even number creates a pattern, some sort of a evening out, a sort of repetition. Please remember that simple is, it gets your attention instantaneously. So it's about being focused. It's about keeping things narrowly focused on this one strong message. Usually we don't try and have more than 5 colors. And as for the fonts, 3 will do. I like this one a lot. The eyes is a face. People respond to faces. So if you think about pictures, don't show the back of a person's head if you can help it. Show a person looking at you or looking somewhere. Eyes are very expressive. The flag, I think in Malaysia as in many other countries, is a very powerful, strong emblem. Fonts, I think there are only 2, maybe 1. Do you miss like the other 600 fonts you can use? No, because that would get in the way of the message. And then the handwriting sort of completes it.
Each time you have a draft, test that out with your targeted audience. Show them your work. Get some feedback from them, because at the end of the day, they are the actual recipients of your message. Okay? At the end of the day, when you feel that the message is strong, everything works, the visuals, the text, the color, the font, and then when you feel you're ready for submission, you would feel good about it, okay? How many steps in total are there in developing a PSA? Now I see we already have almost 40 responses. Very good. There are 6 steps in total.
Some of our friends and colleagues put together a wonderful 3-minute instructional video you may want to check out later. It gives you additional examples, it gives you additional explanations of these rules and all these tips and techniques that go into making a very strong and effective PSA. But I think we're ready to wind down, or rather to gear up for the next stage, which is to continue the hands-on. You've done a little bit of prep work already. So we would like to use the next 10-15 minutes to see how far you can go in designing your initial ideas, giving it a certain shape,